I believe there are generally 4 reasons why people can never get ahead and eventually get to the bag. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over those 4 things and why I think that those are the reasons that most people will never meet their financial goals. Now, number 1 on the list is fear. Now, when I talk about fear, that comes from many different angles. Fear of the unknown, fear because someone that you know invested in the stock market, they ended up losing money, and they never really did their research. They got their information from a third party. Somebody reached out and said, hey man, did you see that this stock is going parabolic? You better get in before you miss the wave and the move to the upside. What generally happens is if someone's new to investing, they get online, they start to research a bunch of information, they get conflicting information from multiple sources, and then they start to see some of the stocks and the positions that they were looking at online or their friends were telling them about, or, you know, that general water cooler talk where people are saying, hey, you better get into this investment. They see that it's moving to the upside. And then what they do is they blindly invest in those positions. And then most of the time they end up losing. So when I talk about things like that, that's generally like your GameStops, your meme stocks, right? Those are the ones that have all the hype. They move to the upside and then it moves back down. And what ends up happening is there's always somebody that gets stuck holding the bag. And unfortunately, that generally happens when people have little to no information about what they're investing in, but they just want to jump in because they have that fear of missing out. So you have that FOMO part of the fear. And then you just have that general fear. A lot of people may have grown up with similar backgrounds like I have, which is you didn't have a lot of information on investing, didn't know how to invest, what to invest in, just understood that you stayed away from it because it was just too risky. And that fear holds so many people back in their ability to get ahead financially. See, we're taught our entire lives to save money. So we know how to spend money. Some of us know how to save money, but we don't know how to multiply our money. And that fear is going to have you on the outside looking in. The second reason why most people will never hit their financial goals is because they don't know where their money is going. I can guarantee you that either you or someone you know has no idea how to budget. They've never put a budget in place before. They get paid, they kind of estimate and guesstimate how much money they have that needs to go towards bills, and then how much money they have left over to kind of go out and do whatever they want, whether that's going to the club, whether that's taking vacations, whether that's buying clothes, whatever. Most people have that paycheck to paycheck mentality, and they're not really thinking about how making a small change like budgeting could change their life drastically. Now, I get it. Everybody tells you that $100,000 a year salary is not that much money. It's too hard to live off of that. While most people don't make that, but let the internet tell you, nobody can live off $100,000 a year. Now, I know there's going to probably be some people that leave comments that talking about, well, if you live in California or you live in New York, you know, $100,000 a year. I don't want to hear that. This is all excuses. On my channel, we come up with solutions, not excuses. And I believe that most people, not all, most people have a spending problem and not an income problem. I guarantee you, if you go back, you sit down, you take a look at what you're spending your money on every single month for 3 months, you'll start to see that you're spending a lot of your money on stuff that you don't even need. See, we're all about solutions on this channel. There is definitely a way. If you live in a place that's too expensive, sell or move out of that place or get a roommate. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills, move back in with your parents, move back in with your family if you're able to do that, right? There's ways that we can cut our costs to improve our lifestyle. You should not have a car payment if you're deep in debt. And no, I'm not one of those people on YouTube that say, never buy a car, never take vacation, never spend any money. That's not me. That's not my mentality. However, if you're in debt, you shouldn't worry about doing those things. You shouldn't worry about going on vacation. You shouldn't be worried about buying a car. You shouldn't be worried about buying a new house. If you're in debt, that needs to be your focus. Once you get out of debt, you can do whatever you want. The third reason that most people will never hit their financial goals is they just lack the knowledge. See, when I first started trying to learn my way in these financial streets, I went on the YouTube, I read articles, I read books, I talked to people and just in general. And there's so much conflicting information out there depending on the source. So for example, you have people out there that say, never invest in a 401k, it's a scam. I don't buy that. Then you have people out there that say never invest in the stock market, only invest in real estate. Then you have some people that say don't invest in real estate, only invest in the stock market. There's just so much conflicting information out there. And until you acquire the knowledge that's going to allow you to tailor a goal that works specifically for you, you're always going to be stuck. See, I can't give you my plan and my goals and expect you to follow that because it may not be aligned with what your expectations are, what your future goals are. You have to obtain the knowledge and then use it to craft something and customize it to work specifically for you. And until you do that, you're just going to be chasing your tail. You're going to be going from one person trying to get information to the next person to get information. And you're ultimately going to be stunning your financial growth because you don't have one plan. You just don't have it together. So one of the things I'm going to be talking about later this month is goal setting for 2026. This is the time of year where I evaluate my goals, my strategy, and what I'm thinking about for the following year so I can hit the ground running come January. If you fail to plan, then you're ultimately planning to fail. And the fourth reason of why I believe that most people will never hit their financial goals is because they lack patience. And I'm speaking on that from experience. Whenever I was in my 20s and in my early 30s, I wanted everything now. And to be honest with you, that's the environment that we live in. We live in a what have you done for me lately society. And I don't ever believe that that's going to change. See, building wealth is a slow process, especially in the beginning. And I believe most people get frustrated with how slow that process starts out, and they ultimately give up before they really can get started. See, building wealth is like rolling a snowball down the hill. And I believe that you've probably heard this analogy before, but I'll say it again. You start with a small ball, you start to roll it down a huge hill. And by the time it gets to the bottom, it's accumulated so much additional snow that it's unrecognizable from when you first started. And that's how building wealth is. And I truly believe if you can learn to be patient, get a plan in place and stick to that goal, there's no telling how far you can actually go. I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think on the 4 reasons that I think that most people will never hit their financial goals? I really want to get your opinions, and I really want to know why you think that either you won't hit your financial goals or why people in general will never hit their financial goals.